Hey everybody, Jay and Nick. We are going to tell you about our recent race at the Ridge. It was a COVID race, which means everybody has to be in a mask and we can't have spectators. And there's some of that stuff that we have to lay onto it. But the amazing thing is it kind of turns out just to be a weekend at the track, which is great.
Chotus.
We had a lot of help this time from Ranger Road. Ranger Road is a group of guys. They're all vets. They're mostly disabled in some way. And they have all gotten together and they're just out there doing adventures in the real world. It is the coolest thing in the world. One of the things, I guess they've lowered their standards, is they're coming Lemons racing now. And they've been to a whole bunch of races. They are great guys. Unlike every other Lemons racer, you say, hey, I need this. And they go, yes, sir, we're on it. And they do it. We love them. And this time they actually volunteered a lot of bodies to help us run the gate and to help us run track on. We couldn't have done it without them. Thank you, Ranger Road. Okay, let's talk about the race. Just at random, here we go, hella sweet. We had a BMW 318 that showed up with a fabulous paint job, and we like this car because it reminds us of the terminally dead car in the parking lot of our hotel in Shelton. It's been there for 10 years.
Hello Sweet, Dirty Duck Racing. These guys are great. They've raced Lemons for a long time. They've got an 83 GTI. They've won Class B previously, which sometimes means that they'll get bumped up to Class A. They were able to negotiate with the judges to remain in Class B, albeit with one penalty lap. And they ran in Class B with this one lap, and they finished in second place in class by 12 seconds.
Hella sweet, the ice cream truck penalty, which is we have an ice cream truck horn that, plays the ice cream truck music. They have to bolt it to their car. Oh, they were really sad, so they're in the penalty box. They bolted it to their car. Ding, 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 start playing the ice cream music. These four other guys that we're going to talk about in a second, these kids with a Miata like, ice cream, ice cream. They came running out. They were super disappointed there was no ice cream. They had to go to the snack bar and get It's after that because they were so sad.
In the category of but terrible, Rotary Rooter, another veteran Lemons team, they lost an alternator, decided not to put on another one, which they had because they were just unmotivated. Then we had the Low Road Racing AMC Spirit, another regular Lemons competitor. It broke 10 laps in on Saturday, and they literally just made it onto track right before they closed the pits on Sunday. They were able to take the checker, but that was about it.
But terrible, this new CRX team, Griswolds. So they brought this car, they had some penalties, and Judge Tom made them do the take your starter out and take baby pictures with it penalty, which I thought was really good. And they got into it. They in fact they found Gwen, Lisa Sims' mother was there, and they took grandma pictures with the baby starter. So that was good. But then they had a little issue where they drained their gearbox thinking it was the engine, and then they did a whole bunch of work, and then they put everything back together, and they put oil back in the engine and went out with no fluid in their gearbox, completely exploded. Like 3 laps later, they were done. But terrible and hella sweet is the You Mad Bro BMW E36. I mean, it was but terrible because let's be honest, it's a super cheaty E36, and that's just but terrible. But it was hella sweet because it was just 2 guys. They ran the entire weekend themselves. They did really well. We'll talk about that later. And they were super nice, and they were great on track. They were super friendly. They had a perfect attitude. So that was hella sweet.
Judge's choice went to Nacho Friend, the 85 Toyota Celica GTS. I believe they've won Judge's Choice or some other award before. Why? Because they always bribe the judges and Lemon staff with nachos. They weren't able to do that this time because of the Rona, but on track they ran like they always do, which is clean, quiet, out of trouble. They did have one issue with the fuel leak. We tell them, which we always tell people, it's never the fuel cap. When they suggested, hey, maybe it's just the fuel cap, they actually listened to us, found the real problem, which was buried in there somewhere else, fixed it, went back on track, never leaked again. That was awesome. Judge's choice.
The regional choice was the Bright Hope for the Future trophy, which went to the team called Mel Gibson. I think it was 4 guys. They were all really young. I call them kids. They're probably in their 20s. They were just so delightfully hopeless. They brought this Miata. It was complete garbage. They had to do a whole bunch of stuff to get past tech. Okay, that was fine. They had wires going everywhere. That was fine. The engine didn't work. They had to replace an engine before they even got a track. Okay, that was fine. And then their transmission didn't work because they put the clutch in wrong. Okay, that was fine. Meanwhile, they're using an entire Miata's worth of oil dry. I mean, it looked like the beach right under their car. They're laughing and having the time of their lives. They finally got out. They did like 2 laps, blew up their second motor, oiled the entire track down. I think the guy was driving along with smoke. He was like, I'll just keep going. Maybe this will fix itself. Oiled the entire track down. It took like an hour to clean it up. They got back in. They put in a third motor. They had broke another transmission. They finally got back out on track. They pulled an axle out of the differential. They puked their differential oil all over the place. They got it back inside. That was when the ice cream bell started going off, and all four of them, ice cream, ice cream, and they ran over and they were disappointed on that. And they went back. Ultimately, they were able to get drive to one wheel of this Miata, and they were able to limp out and take the checkered flag. Let's be honest, I'm sure they were dripping oil then too. But they were just hilarious. They never frowned. They just had a great attitude despite all of their tribulations. They were great. Also, our future has no hope. They were also hopeless.
I believe the children are our future. Thank you.
Normally, we don't talk about the class winners, but what the hell, let's talk about them. Ran Out of Talent Racing, they won Class C in their 96 Geo Metro, regular Geo Metro, as opposed to all the crazy modified Geo Metros that you can watch on this YouTube channel. This was a team from California. On their hood, they have written in Sharpie every goal they set for each Lemons race that they do, and another entry for how they actually did. This race, the Sharpie entry said, win Class C, which they did. They ran away with it. They ran totally clean, not a single penalty all weekend. It was awesome.
Class B was Croc Oh Shit and their old green Volkswagen Golf. They have been trying to win Class B forever. They pulled it off this time by 12 seconds. That is the same 12 seconds that we told you that those other guys with the GTI did not win by, but they were very happy. Somebody went home happy. It was a well-deserved win. Nicely done.
The Class A and overall win went to our friends at Hella Shitty Racing. That's Chris and Shona Blizzard et al. 86 BMW E30. They were in a neck-and-neck battle with those guys that we talked about earlier, the You Mad Bro E36. Now, the You Mad Bro car has a V8 swap, which is pretty quick, but does not get good gas mileage, so they kept having to back off so they wouldn't have to make that extra pit stop. Well, Hella Shitty, they've got a six-cylinder, but they didn't want to have to make an extra stop either, so that they backed off also, and it was sort of this gamesmanship of who can go real slow without running out of gas, but then does somebody want to take a chance and go faster? In any case, Hella Shitty was able to keep that gap to maintain it, just like Lewis Hamilton, and cruise to the 90-second victory.
Just like Lewis Hamilton, yeah.
Just like Lewis Hamilton.
The organizer's choice went to Petty Cash. Now, Petty Cash going into this race, they told us, they said, hey, we're bringing a new car. We're not going to tell you what it is. It is going to blow everybody's mind.
Now that sounds a lot to me like a mid-engine supercar.
It was a mid-engine supercar. Specifically, it was a Toyota Previa. But not only was it a Toyota Previa, well, a lot of people have now run Toyota Previas because why? They're mid-engine supercars. Sometimes all-wheel drive mid-engine supercars. Why would you run anything else? Well, Petty Cash, unlike all those other guys, they took the Previa and they said, we're not going to fix anything on this piece of crap. It showed up, the head gasket was already leaking. It was just terrible. It was like right up the street. But they did do one thing. They painted it in a perfect replica of the Renault Espace Formula One minivan, the most awesome car of all time. So then they went out, and I mean, it was identical, except for how it ran. It ran terribly. Nothing worked on this car. It would overheat every 3 laps. They'd have to come and limp back in. Saturday night, the couple that was running with Petty Cash, they were celebrating their 5th anniversary. Saturday night, they slept in the minivan on an air mattress. True love. I mean, this thing was just totally doomed to failure, but it looked so good. I mean, check this out. Let me just point out, there's an infinite number of themes still out there. You can think everything's been done, but it doesn't have to be the Pink Pig or the A-Team. I mean, look at this thing. It's so obvious. It is just rattle cans and masking tape. Fabulous.
And speaking of, there's an infinite number of themes out there just waiting to be done. The Index of Effluency was awarded to the Piston Liberation Front in their 1959 Jag Mark I Why You Ruin Classic. They did a Harvey Norman theme.
That's not a theme. That's a theme.
What is Harvey Norman? Well, it's an Australian-based retailer of furniture, bedding, and consumer electrical products. It's basically like an Australian Walmart. Now, regular Ridge Lemon staffer Mike Harrell, owner of many weird vehicles, he made a new rule. If nobody gets it, it's too obscure. If everyone gets it, it's too mainstream. If one person gets it, it is perfect. And there was one Australian there on site who said, "Aye, Harvey Norman." Now, I said this was a 59 Jaguar Mark I. It sort of is. The body mostly is, but it's kind of a combination hat, car, engine swap contraption that involves various other Jags. I think the drivetrain is out of like an 80s era XJ sedans.
It's an AJ6 motor. I think it's 90s. And amazingly, it ran.
There were some things that broke. The alternator, the handling of the vehicle, the transmission that got stuck in third gear. Anyway, it's got a bunch of cool stuff on it. It looks super awesome. It even had fender flares off of a trailer. It's a great team. It looks awesome. Well-deserved IOE.
Okay, that's the Ridge. Here's Lemons in a nutshell.
All right.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
That's not a theme. This is a theme.
That's not a theme. That's 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 a theme.